Hello and welcome to another episode of Anime Monsters of the Apocalypse Anime Talk. I am your host, and I am also the king of the underworld, Matt. With me is the sorcerer trapped inside her own microphone, Anne. Say hello,
Hi.
Anne.
Hello.
Also with us is the escaped criminal, Vlad.
Yes, I have escaped and I will ruin this episode with my immense knowledge of anime.
Ah, hello.
Amazing. And we have come to the second part of Ranking of Kings. I will refrain from talking about what Ranking of Kings is about because this is the second part. I assume people have watched the first part. If you haven't, I highly recommend you do, and I also recommend you watch all of the other episodes. So, huge spoiler for the entire thing, and let's get started. So, very quickly, what were you guys like opinions about the rest of the series? Like really quick.
Uh,
More weird. It just got more weird.
yeah,
Again,
it felt like they just kept exchanging the the bad guy, like, oh,
Mm.
this bad guy is now the good guy, and now there's a new bad guy, and they just kept going like that, which was a little bit weird, but I mean, it
they
worked out still, so
they definitely mixed some more white paint in the all black characters. So we in the end we didn't have any black characters in the end. We all the characters went gray.
There was
I
that
think
one
that's
guy.
Oh yeah, the bandit guy.
Yeah, yeah, who were poisoned with shooting gas out
Oh
of
yeah.
his teeth or missing teeth. It's
Yeah.
like the only like real gray, like black character, like I said.
Yeah. All the other characters went gray in the end, and it's very refreshing. Again, we have already talked about that.
Yeah,
It's very cool.
I also very
But yeah,
much enjoyed the second half as I enjoyed the first half. It went in a slightly different direction with a lot more focus on action and a bit more uh, like drama in comparison to the first. I thought.
yeah, you actually predicted the end when
thank
we
you.
watched it together. Yeah, he predicted that they would continue the journey together.
The funny
Oh,
thing is, I think I got that on camera. Like I did that last time. I think
Mm.
on the show. But anyway, so should we start?
yeah.
Yeah.
Character analysis.
Oh,
So these are the five characters that we are going to talk about this time, and let's talk about possibly maybe my favorite character, Mirandio, also known as the Mirror.
mm.
So, what do people think about our resident, I would say, villain of the series, this first season anyway?
I really thought she would just be a witch, but again, she became a great character.
Mm.
Um, and her backstory is so sad. Again,
Yeah.
it's all the characters. Many of the characters' backstory are so sad, but hers is just very from her perspective. Life has been very disappointing and sad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and finally when she gets this chance of a better life, she just clings to it and makes in the action of that, she makes things very miserable around her
Mm-hmm.
and does some very bad thing.
Yeah, I see like she's like the others in that she has the thing that she wants, and
Mm.
the one thing that makes her happy, and she's willing to sacrifice everyone else to get it. Yeah, but of course, it doesn't go. It's not that, as we see, and her character is more like deeply explored. It's not that quite so simple, because he also has a good side to her, despite all the bad stuff she does.
It's one thing I don't really understand about her is her age. Because of the second last episode, when she got engaged to Dida, I don't understand what her age is or what Dida's age is. I even googled it, and there's no canon age, and I'm just
Well,
a bit confused.
I think it's supposed to be a bit confusing because she at one point stopped aging, and also because we have to, in the flashback we saw that, and like her face and her arms were like taken off of her or ripped off of her, whatever. Then she got like a fake face and fake arms. So I think like her outer apparent probably like stopped aging in that regard. Like like at the end, the demon might have restored her real body. We don't know, but it's very well possible. And then later on, she gets trapped inside the mirrors. I don't know. I would assume she completely stops aging then. So
Yeah, but what about Dida then? Because
Dida,
like I thought he was like 10 years old or
oh no
something.
no, I was aware that I like Dida was like, I don't know, isn't he from 16
Both.
to 20 or something like that?
What the fuck?
I believe that
Fine.
both Dida and Boji are young adults, like by the
Seriously?
standards
What is
of Japan.
Bojas?
Boji is older than Dida.
Yeah, he's the older brother.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's right. But
The only reason Boji
how?
looks so young is because of the curse.
Yeah, but his voice
Wow.
is also like, a child's
You mean
voice.
Dida's?
No, Boji.
Oh yeah. Like, I don't know if I
I
consider
really,
Boji having a voice, but yeah.
for some reason, I thought I always have always thought Boji as a kid,
Mm.
but now that you remind me, yeah, he's a young adult.
Hmm.
What? Yeah.
Also, one thing, there's a thing with like, I know they like get engaged at the end. Like this is supposed to be in like a medieval period ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and during the medieval period, it didn't matter like what age it
Yeah, but it's
was.
still
Like
really, really nasty. Like it's so gross.
we I we don't disagree on that. But it was what was hip at the time. Yeah. Good thing that the history is history.
I think the whole getting married thing was also like, I think we should be careful how about we talk about it because we're going to talk about it in a later subject. So
Mm.
like the ending, we're talking
Right.
about like the entire ending later with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to talk about like one big aspect of her character that I think her voice actor actually, or voice actress, actually really nailed is like the whole manipulator part of Miranjo. I think her character worked really well when she was just in the mirror and she was manipulating people.
Mm.
That was when her character worked best, I thought. And she generally, at one point, she kind of stepped down as the main villain and stopped really doing stuff other than just being kind of miserable and not knowing what she wanted. And then Oken took over as a main villain for like the last few episodes. But when she
Yep.
was clearly the main villain of manipulating anything, the voice actress had this kind of like smooth voice that she used, and I think it worked really well for that kind of character.
Yeah. I
And
really I like the backstory of a whole city of. Was it the whole city of magic users, or
yeah,
was
and
it
they were
just
like
a
the
yeah?
first ones who could challenge the gods
Yeah,
stuff.
and they were very good of heart and when they moved to another city with people who had was grown up with thievery and backstabbing and just people who don't trust anyone else, and they finally backstab the mages that had just moved in
Mm.
and sold them off to the guards. It's
It's
such
some
an
rough stuff.
epic story.
They did their
Yeah, they did
best
it
to make
through
us
some
feel
rough.
to make us feel bad for Mirandio.
Mm.
Hmm. And
So yeah,
yeah, I think the one aspect of her character which I did wish that we had seen a bit more of was kind of like the fact that she's supposedly a great sorcerer, and we do see her use magic, but we don't actually see her like do as much as I would have like wanted to see.
hmm
Like I would have wouldn't it have been cool if she had like shot lightning after Boji until he would have to dodge it or something like that. I don't know. I kind of
yeah,
missed a big
joined
like
in the battle a little bit more.
yeah like I would
Actually,
have been
actually putting herself on the line for her ideals.
yeah like even in the flashbacks when we see her kill Boji's mom, she uses other people to do it. So yeah, she's a very good manipulator, but her whole being a witch thing, I wish they had done a little bit more with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to really pinpoint it, but I think like her character works really well. I think.
Yeah, me too.
Hmm. But I think if I have to pick, I think her character worked best when she was like in the mirror manipulating Daida, and
Mm.
like
Yeah, like when
oh
we didn't see that she was just a person.
yeah, and when we didn't
Yeah.
know like what the deal was.
Mm.
Like generally, I'm happy with how the show ended up like doing her backstory and all that, but it's one of those things where the setup is a lot better than the payoff. And that's not to say that the
Yeah.
payoff was bad. I just think the setup was done so well. But
Actually, I think she's a very important part for one of the big messages that this show gives at the end. Um, that's important. She's a again, if she wasn't there, we couldn't have that big message at the end.
mm,
But again, we will talk about that later.
yeah, we'll talk about basically the entire ending and how that's
Mm.
handled in a later subject.
Mm.
So, by the way, shout out to her like hood. I like it. It gives off the very wizardry like vibe.
Mm. Yeah,
So yeah,
I like that they have. I actually the the brooch she has for her cape isn't that almost identical to the mirror in some way?
Oh. Mm, I don't remember what the mirror looked like.
I'm also not really. I'm not really seeing it. Maybe you're right. I'm not gonna say you're wrong.
Just gonna sneakily search for the mirror. No, not at all. It's a hexagonal shape, and
All
the
right.
brooch is a flower. Not at all. I don't know. I think it's the color or something that reminded
Yeah,
me.
probably.
Hmm.
Huh.
Okay,
Well,
do we quickly want to talk about her relationship with King Boss? Because it is a big part of her character.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to do it, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So basically, the reason she's doing everything she's doing is so that she can return to the one moment in her life when she was happiest, and that was when she was like traveling the world with King Boss. And from what I can tell, they have all like the nature of their relationship to me seems close to like a father-daughter relationship.
Hmm.
Like, am I wrong in that? What do you think?
No. I see it too. Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't give the vibe of being lovers in any way, and like the way it's presented with King Boss taking care of her, like when she was very small, and them just like traveling together. It's just the vibe I got.
Yeah.
So yeah, do we have more we want to say about Miranjo?
No, I don't think so.
All right, then should we move on to Bevan, the snake guy?
Yes. Let's move on to Pippin.
Yeah. So Vladdy, what was our
Yeah.
reaction
Yeah.
when we when we
What's good
saw?
about this? Let me just take a big sip before I spew out my love for this character.
Wow, that was a big sip.
Ah. Okay,
Wow.
kids. This is 101 good character design and how you can use it to completely confuse the viewer. We have this guy who's clad in black and with a big mustache, which is just 101 Disney villain archetype. Give the dude a mustache, and he must be evil. Well, and then we have this gnarly sword. This I would not say it's crooked, but it's wavy, which is yeah. It looks like something a guy that's scheming, and it can also be a little bit in the snake iconography, and again. He's controlling snakes. He's friends with snakes and use them to get information around the world. If that's not um, the themes and iconography of someone bad, I don't know. But no, he's not bad. He uses all that information and all that and the detective work he's doing for good to help Boji. It's it's just a 180 and it just oh it's such good character design. Yeah, that was my take on take on him.
Well, I'm in Vladdy's camp. I think that I was completely 100% sure. Oh, this guy using snakes who's like we see
Oh
standing in the shadows doing some sort of schemes. Oh yes,
yes,
he's
he captures Kage.
yes like
Must be.
of course he's evil. But are you suggesting that this guy isn't evil? I mean, have you seen him? And like, shock was shock. He ended up being one of the nicest characters and one of the most helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah, they got me there. I gotta admit.
Gotta be honest. I don't even remember him at all.
babe.
Sorry.
Yeah, all right. Well, he made a big impact on us in any case.
Yeah. It's just a good. It's just such a good way of using character design to make people think of a character a certain way, but then the story tells you something completely different. I have never seen character design been used this obviously to confuse the viewer, to yeah deceive the viewer. I've seen it many times where I'm struggling to read if the character is just edgy cool or if he's bad. I've seen many character designs where oh is he cool because he's clad in black or is he evil because he's clad in black. But I've never seen someone clad in black um and 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 again checks out so many oh he's bad character blocks but then the story reveals that he's actually a good guy.
Also, one of the things that I think that's been interesting about his character, that it's not so much his look I'm talking about now. Like it's that we have a lot of characters with like shifting allegiances that we don't like. They don't know like where they like. First they start doing with what King Boss says, then they go like they want to support Boji, then they don't want to support Boji, then they go back to Boji, and so forth. But Beben, he supports Daida, and he does that from the start. He never wavers in his loyalty to Daida. And it's because of his loyalty to Daida that he also ends up helping Boji as much, because that's what he believes is what's best for Daida. And like he tries to make Daida grow as a person.
Yeah, because he thinks that Boji can help Daida getting his body back. Because he didn't want to. What is it called? Protect Boss. Help. He didn't want to help Boss. He wanted to help Daida getting his body back, and then
Yeah, he wanted Daida to become
that's
the king of the land and the best king he could be.
and that's why he helped Boji,
Yeah,
so he could help Daida. It's so
because
good
he
to
knows that for Daida to become the best version of himself, he needs Boji like by his side helping him as well, which is what ends up happening. So in the end, Beben is like the ultimate winner of this series.
Yeah.
Like you could argue, he gets all of his goals gets achieved. You could say.
I don't remember. Did he die? Did he die against RPs, or did he come back? Didn't he come back? No.
What?
Yes. He came back. He had the last fight with Boss.
Yeah,
Now I
he
remember.
he fought against the spear guy, and he was injured
Yeah.
for a bit. Then he came back and he fought against both Oaken and Boss.
Yeah. Now I remember. Cool. Yeah. That's a good character.
Yeah, he works really well. So should we move on to the three brothers of the underworld?
Yeah.
So first there's Despa. Was he the middle brother or the youngest brother? I think he was he the middle brother?
I
I
can
think he
check
was.
it up real fast because I have all of them. Oh wow, not not enough information from this website. I
Yes.
don't know. I don't know. In what how old he is
I'm not
in
looking for like.
comparison to Despar and Oaken. Wasn't he the oldest one?
No, the oldest one is Desha.
Oh, we are talking about Despar. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. He's the middle one,
Yeah, that was
right?
what. Yeah, wasn't that what I said?
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Despa ends up becoming Boji's mentor, trains him in the art of fighting, and also ends up becoming a really big help to both like Boji and Kage when they're in their struggles for the throne. And I would also argue that he's the very much one of the biggest voices of reason while everything is going down in the last battle.
In other particular moments you remember?
Yeah, like he's the one who says that Boji isn't supposed to should not fight Oken because they're incompatible, and he's also the one advising Desha not to try to like take the throne from
Uh,
King Boss, and
yeah.
he shouldn't fight King Boss because he doesn't believe Desha is strong enough to take him. So he's always like being really smart and coming up with like what's the best move.
Yeah. He's the tactician.
Yeah, you could say. Because he lacks fighting ability.
Yeah.
Because apparently he has a weak body. And
Funny enough, what did he do in the war with his father when Disher and Ogun and Despa was in a war
well,
with
you said it before,
father?
tactician.
Yeah,
I would
probably.
assume. But yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Doesn't he look like that guy from Dragon Age Inquisition, Dorian?
I
I have
don't know who that
not
is.
played Dragon Age. Sorry.
I'm gonna send you guys a picture.
Okay.
Sure.
It was just all I could think about while watching the show is how
Fair.
much he like looks and talks like this character.
Hmm.
Actually, one thing I just realized: mm, Disper and Desha is very much opposites.
Mm-hmm.
Not only
In looks.
in yeah, yeah, but very much in looks. Um, but actually, I would say not only in personality, but very much also in looks. Um, Again, look at that color. Desha has many cold. He's mostly black, purple, blues.
Hmm.
But Desha, he's mostly reds and warm browns, a little bit of black and gold. Desha also has a bit of gold, but that's mostly a representation of his nobility. But also one funny thing I realized, their silhouette is also different.
Hmm.
Again, Desha has this big, what is it called, the thing on the shirt that you
Like
can
color.
roll up. Yeah, he has this open collar, roll up collar that goes around his head. But Despa, he has these big, big trousers.
Mm-hmm.
What is it called? The thing that goes around his booty.
I don't know,
I
pants.
don't-
I don't know,
yeah, his
man.
pants. I like his pants, but that makes
The thing that goes around his
his
booty.
booty. but that makes a very different. That makes them very different design wise in weight. Desha is very top heavy, where Despa is very bottom heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
But I'm heavy.
bottom heavy. Yes, a heavy booty though. Um. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So that's just something I realized.
Mm-hmm. And as far as senseis go, I would say that Despair does a great job of being like the mentor to Boji, because like he goes all out, and he does that thing that I really like where he deceives Boji in order to help him. Like he sets up that bar fight.
Uh,
Yeah, where
yeah.
he actually
Yeah.
lie. Yeah, he lies to Boji about what's actually going on,
Mm,
but it helps Boji in the end.
mm,
Yeah, you can see like the amount of effort he puts into like Boji, like both while they're training, but also afterwards.
mm.
Like,
And it's not because the uh, the monsters that he made attack Boji wasn't trying.
mm,
They tried to give him a challenge. It's just that he set it up so he could see how far he has gotten.
yeah. Also, it was a like in a way to get Boji into a actual battle ish
Mm,
before a life or death situation.
mm.
Like test to see if Boji can actually fight someone
Yeah.
before he actually gets to fight someone for real.
Mm,
So he's very smart and he very much thinks about the safety of his student Boji, which I appreciate.
mm,
And while it is true that they show that he has a big love for riches, like he does a lot of opportunities to try to get more gold and the like, But he also has like a big sense of honor, I would say, and he's generally a
Yeah.
really nice guy. The fact that he still chooses to use the same horse despite that horse actually not being that useful anymore.
You're meaning White King?
He is White King.
I
White
love
King.
that fucking horse. Oh my god.
Yes, and that shows like he has respect and a love for his horse. Like there's no way he's gonna choose any other horse than his horse because of how much he loved that. Even if it isn't that useful in fighting or riding anymore.
Uh,
Hmm.
I think it's cool that he has a whole arsenal of weapons. Just
Apparently, like he gave Bebin his sword, that slithering sword
oh
thing.
oh cool.
Yeah, uh, he trained Bebin back in the day. That's how Bebin knew about him.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So should we talk about his older brother, Desha, King Desha?
King Desha,
Yes, who is
number
apparently
two, right?
what?
Yeah, number two in ranking of kings, right?
Yes, and he could apparently choose to be number one if he wanted to, but he didn't because he didn't see any reason to, I guess, until the whole thing with Oaken.
Mm. But
So
yeah,
yeah, like he's like an interesting character because we initially see him as kind of a hostile character, like with how he treats Boji, and then later on it looks like he's gonna like invade the kingdom of Boss. But then he ends up. We see that he's like a really good king to his subjects, like, and he does help out, like, basically with everything at the end. So I would very much say that he's rough around the edges, but he's also a good guy.
yeah, good guy. Again, he knows what needs to be done to be a king and to succeed in being a king.
Mm-hmm.
But morally, he's questionable sometimes.
Could you
Again,
give me
the
an
way
example?
like the way he used a baby Gigan to win the war.
Oh, like that. But of course, that was because they had to do it in order to win, or else everything
Torture.
would be lost.
Let's torture a baby child so
It's
the
either
rest of
that or
the
everyone
rest
you
of
know and love
the
will die bloody horribly
that's right.
forever.
But it's still morally questionable.
True, but he didn't want to do it.
No.
But he
Like he
still
doesn't.
did it.
But he still did it.
Yes, because he wasn't gonna let anyone else have that burden, so he took that upon himself.
Again, he
Mass,
knows.
that doesn't make sense. Like, he tortured a child.
He didn't torture. Actually, the soldiers did.
Yeah, but
He
others
gave it a quick
ordered.
death.
He fucking ordered them. Fuck it. Fuck it. Again, he knows. He knows what needs to be done to be a king,
Mm-hmm.
and that's also a very. I think that's again in the perspective of him being number two. That's a interesting perspective to get as a character, that we have one that knows what needs to be done to be a king, but shows the morally compromises that follows in that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good.
Yes,
Mm.
and he has lightning powers.
Yeah, which is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So
That he
cool.
apparently got from his father.
Mm.
Yeah, it does puts up the
Yeah.
question of magic again. That do the people that use like magic apparently it seems to be like hereditary in the show.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's not something you can learn. It's something you can get from your parents.
We got something. We got an explanation in the series, right?
For his lightning, yes, but not for magic in general.
Uh, okay, we didn't get the. Didn't we? We have a theory when we watched it that it comes from the guy. Is Hilling? Is she a child of
We
a god
don't
or
know.
past?
Here's the thing: we don't. The only thing we know about Hilling's past is that she was a priest.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
thing is, like her son Daida also has healing powers.
Uh,
So I
yeah.
assume that magic is something that's like gone from parent to child.
Yeah. It's something that needs to be inherited.
Yeah. And also,
Yeah.
since those magic casters in that city were like apparently the first ones to actually get magic, it wasn't something that humans generally had, it was something the gods had. It's what I can get from that. So,
Yeah. True.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, he got lighting powers. That's
And he
cool.
killed his father with them.
Hmm.
And he got a big club as well.
Yeah. That battle between Domus and him was pretty cool. That what did he? Yeah, again again another way of showing that he's that's not that's not a example of moral, but that's a example of maybe not what is the word not honorable, yeah, not honorable behavior,
But
that
practical.
he didn't go for the full blow with his club before, because he knew that Domus predicted would predict a blow from the club. He just went full on boot to nuts.
No, he actually, like, first he swung his club and then stopped it at the moment of impact. So he could have
Oh
just,
yeah.
like, swung it normally. He did the whole
Oh
nut thing to, like, really,
yeah.
like, show superiority, I would say.
Yeah.
And also because at the time, Domas, I guess you can interpret the scene in different ways, but since Domas wasn't killing any of his, like, men, Desha was also trying not to, like he said, they only came to kill one person, Miranjo. So
Mhm.
he was trying to like keep the killing to a minimum. To,
Yeah, that's right. But not honorable. You don't do that. You don't go for another man's nuts. You don't do that. It's
well, it worked.
yeah, it worked. Again, that's a very mm, well qualifying thing for Desha, that he does the things that works. He does the effective things.
Mm,
He's not he's not all extra on that front.
hmm.
Again,
Yeah. No. So should we move on to Oken?
yes.
All right. Oken is the guy who's pretty much the like the villain for most of the like, one of the few last episodes, except for
Mm.
that like one, except for the one boss fight against boss at the end. Then Oken is like the villain to defeat
Hmm.
at the end.
Hmm.
And I
But
gotta
he's
say,
he's
what?
he's almost not a character. Understanding in this way that the 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 version we see him, the version that's physical right now, is not him.
Mm-hmm.
It's a far shadow. It's just a accumulation of um of battle experience and swordsmanship
Yeah,
and abilities.
you could say he's almost like a force of nature.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He works like a force of nature character. Yeah.
Mm. And what a creepy character that is.
Yeah.
Like first he weakens his opponents, and then he like slashes them, and then slowly watches them bleed
Yeah.
out. Like
Yeah.
damn.
he finds enjoyment of watching them die slowly. Ah, I actually think he says some creepy noises too while watching them. Ugh.
Yeah, and he gets like
What
starts blushing over the armor and
Mm,
everything.
mm, 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 mm.
the
Yeah,
fuck?
yeah, and
Yeah, what
that
were you
mask
saying,
doesn't
Anne?
help. And
What?
You said something in the
what were you
background, right?
saying?
Wait. Try to say that like one at a time.
All right. So you want to give your take on Oaken?
Um, I honestly don't know what to say about him. Um, I think he's an interesting character. Um, but I didn't even like really notice him in the show until later on. Like I don't remember like when we first saw him.
Hmm.
I think like when I started noticing him was probably when we found out he was immortal.
Immortal.
Immortal. Sorry, I think the
Yeah.
mic with
Ah,
Discord. I
ah,
don't think
okay.
it's like saying everything that I'm saying. You know.
Fine.
I'll look into it afterwards.
Fine, fine.
That's all right. I would say
But
that
yeah,
yeah, even I think they pretty quickly after his introduction like tried to hype him up.
mm,
Like before, like at one point the show like really focused a lot on Oaken, but even before that, I think the show tried like to tell like how big of a deal it was going to be, like calling him
yeah.
the I don't know the
What?
undead king or something,
Yeah, no. The Sword King of the Underworld.
something like that. Yeah.
The Sword King of the Underworld. It sounds
Mm.
so badass and evil and just full on Sauron bad.
Mm. And he has a really tragic backstory.
Yeah, yes, it's such a
Where he was a
tragic
really nice
story.
guy, but then after they killed their dad, he became immortal, and then he like lost his
Yeah,
humanity and oof.
and I think that's actually the core quality of these three characters, Despa, Desha, and Oaken, is their relationship to each other and
Mm-hmm.
how they um how they make the scale between them balance,
Mm.
because their relationship between each other is, I think that it's much more interesting than one single of them.
Yeah, I think I agree that they complement each other.
They complement each other so well.
Mm.
When was it revealed that he was their brother? Was it from the start when he
No, it
broke out
wasn't
of the
from the start. Or initially, we thought like to the viewer, just they acted like he was the criminal that they were most worried about.
the baddest criminal of them
Yes,
all?
and the former like captain of the underworld guard.
Mm, mm, mm.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Then it
but yeah,
became yeah.
when it was revealed that he was their brother, and again, Desha got his father's monstrous look and thunder power,
Hmm.
and Despa, what he got a good heart, right?
Like, he got a
No,
good
no, that was
like again like tactical ability
okay. Yeah,
is great technical ability, and then Oaken got his like martial prowess. He was really good with a sword.
yeah, but Oaken also got his good heart, right? One of the I don't remember if it was Despa or Oaken who got a good heart or something.
Yeah, but I don't think they got that from their father.
No. It was just a when
But
they
yeah,
went
then it
through.
was I think like they say that Oaken was the nicest of them.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I remember in the war against the father, that Desper he chose to, after they did that whole trick with torturing a baby. Despa went away from didn't want to have anything more with the war. But Ogun wanted to see this through and make Despa king because wasn't it because his their father was a bad character, bad
Oh, he
dude.
was like the thing with their father was that he was very he wanted to like learn how to gain immortality, so he kept on making
Yeah.
experiments on mortals like humans
Yeah,
and the like, and
that's the
killing
reason. Yeah.
like endless amount of people. And the reason he got kids was just to like further the immortality experiments.
Yeah. And then after when they won the war and when was it when Oaken turned 22 years old or something? I remember it was something a specific year old he got, and then he turned immortal. But it's just interesting to see that immortality can bring so much grief into someone's life, because it wasn't something to celebrate for him. It was something. It was a curse for him
Mm-hmm.
to have that happen, because didn't he knew that it would turn him to a monster in the end, right?
Yeah, he like immediately after like he saw his immortality, he was like went on his knees crying to his brothers to
Yeah.
save him. Like he
Mm,
doesn't want to lose his humanity and all that.
yeah. It's so sad. It's so sad that we have this good, very good of heart character with that's very noble and all, but in the end turning to this black knight of curse dreams or something, just evil, a evil character.
Mm-hmm.
It's very sad, and all the more good story device for the other characters to react to, especially Desha and Despa,
Mm-hmm.
because this Despa, well, the reason he wanted to help Boji was also because he heard of Miranjo or something, or was it just because he was paid and wanted to help Boji? I don't remember
No, like
if that
they
was
there was that they
also.
wanted that deal with the demon
Ah, yeah,
to
yeah,
save Okan, but that's
yeah.
why they did the whole cut the head off and then say to the demon like, if you want your head back, then you'll grant us one
Mm.
wish, like save our brother.
But
But of course,
Despa didn't know that from the start, right?
that was the plan from the start.
Okay, that was the plan from the start. I didn't get that. I didn't know that Despa knew that from the start. It's a bit. Maybe Desha knew that from the start, but I didn't know if Despa knew that from the start. But the idea that Despa and Desha had this plan to save their brother,
Mm-hmm.
um, with the demon that Miranjo made a deal with, was it was so heartbreaking when they didn't get that deal. But
Yeah,
again,
and it made a really good cliffhanger for season two
it
when
made such a good cliffhanger. Such a good cliffhanger. Oh my
yes,
god,
when
yes.
Deja agreed to become the number one in the rankings, and now he will be
Yeah.
taken to the
Treasury.
treasury. Yes, and we
Yeah, to
saw
get.
that other character Kingbo come in and throw Oaken's head into that big lake
Yeah. Oh my god.
and all that
It's
crazy stuff.
yeah. It was crazy.
Yes,
Very crazy.
but I think we have to like move on now because we
Yeah,
actually been
let's move
talking
on.
character analysis for a long time.
Oh my
I think
god.
like an hour or something.
A little
Well,
less than an hour actually, so we should move on.
okay, let's move on.
Yeah, the characters are just too good.
Mm.
So the music.
Oh, music.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is yours, Anne.
Yeah, it was just the first intro music they had
Mm-hmm.
from part one, you know? I
Yeah.
just loved it. It was so fucking good. So yeah, I think the music overall is just fucking great.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I agree that the music were both the background music always like ups whatever we're supposed to like feel at the moment.
Mm.
And the opening's also great. I personally like the second opening a bit more than the first one,
Oh,
Really?
but
I like the first one better.
I like the second one more. But
Okay, fine.
yeah, both were great. So
Mm. The background music is. I actually just before we went live, I actually went through some of the numbers. Um, they are very they are things that goes through them all is the trumpet and horns, and many of them go has the snare drum. It's very not militaristic, but a little bit of taste of militaristic, and uh, again, it's appropriate of it. It gives a sense that it's a there isn't electric guitars and things. So it in that sense it makes us feel that it's music from a medieval fantasy setting. So it's not music historically appropriate, but it
it's
makes
like
us feel.
fantasy. So
Yeah, it's fantasy medieval appropriate.
yeah.
Yeah, in that way.
Mm.
And I really liked the use of choir, because most of the music when there's choir is mostly used when something weird, mysterious is happening. Like Mirancho's theme, there's this choir that makes that sings along, and it makes more mysterious. And I also, if you have the time after this, I would recommend listening to Karge's sad backstory or something. I don't remember. I Google translated the title, but it's such a good use of. Do you know the music box? You know the little thing that goes ting 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 ting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
what
Yeah, yeah.
you are
It's
referring
such
to.
a it's such I don't know what is with music box and music, but it always accentuates sadness. I think it's because it's a very delicate kind of instrument, but in the sad themes that goes through the music, especially Kage's backstory music, um, the music box is used, and we cannot forget Boji's theme. I I think it's funny that we have this character that is a young adult, but his theme is not a pan flute, but it's the flute with holes in that you hold sideways. I don't remember what that instrument is called. Sorry,
Yeah, I
I'm new.
think I know which one we are talking
Oh,
about.
oh, yeah. But
Like you
sorry,
have both of your hands to the side.
musicians. Yeah, that one. Sorry, musicians of the world. I don't know my instruments, but I think because it gives me the feeling of a younger character, of a naive character.
Yeah.
But as we see, Boji is not particularly naive. He's just unknown in this world. He's um he's someone who has to learn um with traveling uh, and with mentors. So it's a bit funny, but it's maybe a way of symbolizing his mm, his ability to always stand up and fight again and
I
do
see it as
things
more
again.
like representing his like positivity on life.
Yeah. Thank you. That's the
Yeah.
words I searched for. Thank you.
Hmm.
So yeah, the good music. but give it a try. Um, I would recommend it. Many of them for D&D background music. So if you play D&D, use them as background music.
So yeah, do we have more to add to the music?
Nah.
think so.
All right. Then let's move on to power scaling. This is one of mine, and I picked this one because I think that this show is really good at uh, keeping like the appropriate level of like strength and fighting ability to the appropriate characters. And there's a really good scene where um, they're in the like the dungeons, and we have Domas trying to like protect uh, like the entrance to the kingdom from the like, underworld soldiers. Yeah,
Mm.
and what's very normal when we have uh, many characters that has to against one character is that all these characters will be basically fodder and that they will be defeated easily in order to like uplift the like the one character that actually matters, which would be Domas here. But
Mm.
that wouldn't in but that wouldn't really make sense because these knights have been like we've been told that they're like the best in the world and they're all like super strong. So what
Mm.
happens is that Domas not only he makes sure he has the high ground, so he has like the strong position, but and then he actually struggles a lot against them, and at the end he has to like breathe really hard because of how much struggle it was to fight them. And I really like that because that's how strong I would expect them to be.
Mm.
Like at no point do I feel like a character was defeated too easily or
Mm.
it was too hard for one character. It always feels like the exact like strength that they should have based on what we've been told. I can actually
Mm.
come up with an example of an anime that does this really badly. Would be in Naruto, where in the anime Naruto they very quickly give like rankings to how powerful like a character should be. They have like Genin, Chunin, and Jonin, and then they have. But the problem there is that we see a lot of these characters easily in Naruto get defeated and thrown aside, despite supposedly getting some of these ranks actually being like really impressive. The ones that in Naruto suffers from this most is the Anbu Black Ops, which they keep on talking up about how incredible these Anbu Black Ops are. But every
Mm.
time we see them, they easily get wrecked without any trouble, unless there's like one single Anbu member that's going to be important for the plot. Then all of a sudden, then he's really good, and we get none of that in Ranking of Kings. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm. I'm. I feel the same as you. That the the power scaling feels very appropriate for the characters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel at any time that I'm overwhelmed with what the fuck is happening. I didn't know that he could do that.
Yeah.
Every time something new about a character's power somehow increased, and or if they using something new in a battle, it feels appropriate for that character to use that technique or something, because oh, it's something that that character always have could have used, but he didn't feel the need to do it until now. Unlike many other animes where, oh, well, it seems like you just invented something new because the. So yeah.
Yeah, there's another really good scene like where Hilling and her knights that has just been introduced, they fight like those escaped criminals and those what were they beasts,
Mm-mm.
where okay, these are supposed to be again. The only thing we know about them, they've just been introduced, is that they're elite knights chosen by healing. Then you would expect them to have a certain level of skill, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they actually show that they put up a fight. They lose, but they actually put up a fight. In a lesser anime, they would just get one shotted.
Blown away. Yeah, it
Yeah,
would. Uh, the elite knights would have been blown away, and the uh, only characters that would have been standing is Anne and the shield guy.
yeah,
Yeah, Dosha.
yes, but they actually
Oh,
stay in the fight throughout most of the fight.
yeah,
Yeah, and
it's
they
good.
show them what?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So we all agree the power scaling in this show is really, really good.
Yeah.
It's well done.
Yes,
It's well
well thought out.
one shift's kiss out of 30. No, no,
Then
no.
again,
That's a bad rating.
it should be said, to be fair, to be try to be completely fair, like this the whole problem with power scaling, like I mentioned with the Naruto example, this from a lot of animes this ends up becoming more of a problem as series progresses, as you have to show the characters both becoming stronger and then more villains as time goes on.
Yeah,
And we're still very early in Ranking of King's story, essentially. So
we'll have to see if they can keep it
yeah, keep it
on
up. I
this
mean, they
level.
already said that Boji is the strongest man in the world, right?
Yeah,
So I mean,
it's hard to make story from here.
we'll see what they come up with. I have faith. So yeah, should we move on?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
All right. Great characters. This was yours, Vlad.
yeah. Actually, think we have already talked about it, but it's
Yeah.
it's good to see. It's good to see a series with a story with something that with characters that actually ask the viewer question of maybe not look at the immediate actions of a character. Let's see what made them come to this, and let's see how they evolve.
Mm,
Yeah, it's refreshing. It's
yeah.
very refreshing.
Especially with something like anime, where we don't actually get these deep stories that often.
Mm, no.
Like they are there, but it's not that often that you get. Not at this level, in any case.
Yeah, and I actually think that many times you can see a deep story in an anime, but sometimes you need to search for it. You need to dig into the anime to actually get the good stuff out of it. But
Mm-hmm.
with Ranking of Kings, it's 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 right in your face from from the start. You get a very interesting story from the start, and you get a very interesting cast of characters from the start.
Mm-hmm.
That constantly challenges the viewer.
Yeah. Yeah,
So yeah,
I think I agree that we have actually talked about this a lot in the.
yeah, we have.
Hmm.
Let's jump to the next slide.
All right. Avoiding same face syndrome. This was yours, Anne.
Yeah, it was just like I noticed that literally no one looks the same, except
Mm-hmm.
maybe Dida and his mom because they're related, so
Yeah,
it
but
makes
that's not on
sense.
purpose, like so.
Yeah, like it makes sense for them to look the same.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone else, except maybe I think there was two characters where I think the nose was a little bit alike, but not really. But
Hmm.
everyone else, they look so different, but they still look like they belong in the same universe, which is really, really good because they have to. Otherwise, something would be wrong. But I just think they did this really well.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and that's a very that's maybe a way of giving praise to the art style that makes it possible to have a broad assortment of characters with vastly different uh, uh, body types and shapes, and not make them look out of place in any way.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm. I really like again that again maybe that can be attributed to same face syndrome, but I really like Kage's design. This is the only time we can talk about it, because I really like the way that he's just a blob, and he can just he's just an amorphous shape that can constantly break model. So
Yeah. And his
he can
mouth, like it's just like a little sock puppet, like his mouth, you know?
yeah
It's like
Mm.
yeah
you're talking with a hand or something.
yeah
It's really cute.
yeah it's really cool.
Yeah. The funny part about that is that they say that Boji is reading his lips, like reading his mouth
Mhm.
movement, and that's how we can understand him. But when we look at
Lips.
him talk, he's just like going up and down, like
It's
his
just
mouth. So
mouth and teeth, I think. Is
Yeah, I
that
think
teeth?
it's like sharp
Yeah.
teeth.
Nya, 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 nya. So yeah, the characters and how they are designed vastly different is also a thing of the art style, and how it makes space for for highly different character designs. Again, you
mm.
can have an anime. Many anime goes for the aesthetic that everything needs to be highly stylized, pretty, or cool, and that in the start it makes for a very interesting and cool and beautiful looking characters. But in the end, when you have your core crew of characters and you add more sub characters, in the end they again, because they are all pretty or cool and highly stylized, it's it doesn't it they the designers don't the art style doesn't have much wiggle room to make many different kind of characters, because they only work with pretty cool and stylist and stylized. So
Mm.
in this way we have much more in this art style we have much more wiggle room to express express characters in. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I definitely think that this art style does really well with coming up with many different kinds of facial expressions.
Mm,
Like we see throughout the series that they do a lot of like close up of their faces and heads, where we
mm,
see their reactions to like, certain emotions,
mm.
and I think this way like, it ends up becoming just a tiny bit like cartoony in some of the ways that he's shown with like opening their eyes and big mouths and all that. But I think it
Mm.
works with this art style.
Mm.
A particular point where we see great use of facial expressions is when Boji makes food for Despa and Kage. The facial expressions of the Despa there, so good, so well
Mm,
made, so funny. You can just see his soul leaving his body in those facial expressions.
mm,
But it's also maybe the way the characters' faces and their whole design was made is maybe because it's also it all came from a web comic, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like manga.
It
That
all
was
came.
uploaded
Yeah,
online, so yeah, webcomic manga.
yeah, and we looked a little bit of the of on those, and it looks like it followed the characters design pretty truthfully,
Mm.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I've actually read the manga since last time. What's available in English anyway.
Oh.
Yeah, and I would say like the anime does a good job of translating the manga into animation, like, and that includes the facial expressions. Like the only thing that I really, the thing that I like realized a lot was that the anime actually changed some of the revelations.
Mm, okay.
That that has more to do with the story and less to do with like
Yeah.
their appearance.
Designs. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
But when I just need to clarify, when you say manga, you're meaning the webcomic, right?
Yeah, but like when you say
Okay.
manga, you
Okay.
generally just mean Japanese comics.
Yeah.
So
Fine.
it's the same.
I just needed to clarify. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Mm, I don't have any more to say about this. What about you, Anne?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay.
All right. Should we move on then?
Yeah,
Yep.
sure.
World building. This
Hey,
was yours,
it's
Vlad.
pretty. Yeah, it's pretty. It's as we can see, it definitely goes for the watercolor, maybe a little
Yeah.
bit Studio Ghibli kind of vibe. So it's pretty, and it it makes me feel like it's a living world with we visit we visit different cities, and we have a system. We have a system where we can follow who's the most powerful king, and there is a hierarchy in some sort, and the whole world has a history with gods that has fallen, and all that all that jazz, all that
Mm.
all that good building jazz. And
Mm.
the only thing that still is a big question, but again, the story is not is has still just started in terms of longer running animes and all that. Um, that what power does it have? What power does the people who's ranking all the kings have? And how did they get this power? And again, what would stop all the other kings just banding together and go to the treasury and demanding all the treasure? What's stopping them? But again, it's probably something that will be answered later.
Yeah, like this is
Yeah.
we're still very early on in when it comes to backstory. We have I feel
Mm,
like we barely scratched the surface, honestly, with that whole
mm,
thing with the gods and the rebellion against the gods and how the ranking
mm,
of kings came to be,
mm.
and the fact that there are places like they mentioned there's this wasn't there like a poison forest that they mentioned at some point.
Oh yeah, how did it become the poison forest?
Yeah, and like if there are
Yeah.
yeah, like there's so many questions to like how this world and the fact that what's going to happen after this, I assume, is Boji traveling to different places. So we
Yeah, and
really, I think in the
the
future we will
crazy
really
king
get an
that
opportunity
tried to
to
eat him.
what?
Who the fuck is that? The crazy king that tried to eat him. Who the fuck is that? And what is he king of? Is he at all a king?
Well, yeah, we saw his
Or is he
backstory.
just a
Don't you
madman?
remember? You remember King
Right.
Bo's backstory? Then we saw it.
Oh, that was him? Yeah.
Yeah, he
Okay.
became crazy and killed his entire kingdom.
Oh,
Yeah.
With King Bo as the only
Yeah.
survivor.
Yeah.
I assume
so
that's
he's
gonna
not
come
a king
back.
anymore. Just used to be.
Huh?
He's not a king anymore.
Well,
Nope.
are you a king if you don't have a kingdom?
No.
Like, I mean, I guess you can still have the title, but it doesn't really mean anything.
We're talking
Yes.
about he's the king of the wild. He's the wild king. Dancing in the moonlighting, eating people. So
Well,
yeah, it feels like a breathing, vibrant world, and I like it, and
yeah,
I
and I'm
can't wait
looking,
to.
looking forward to seeing more of it.
Me too.
Hopefully there will be a season
Wait,
two. Like, hopefully we won't get in a situation like No
crossing
Game No Life
crossing
where
fingers.
no season two.
No. Still hoping, still wishing.
We'll see.
Do we have something to add, Anne?
You talked about the watercolor background,
Yeah,
right? It
yeah.
really reminds me of Pokemon, like a lot.
Oh yeah, the early '90s
Yeah,
Pokemon.
exactly.
Yeah, the late, early. That would be the late '90s, early 2000s Pokemon. Yeah, but I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah. It reminds me a lot of that too. Yeah, you know what, guys? I really miss watercolor backgrounds. I yeah. I
Hmm.
I don't know why, but it
It's like
just makes the world feel bigger.
yeah,
I don't know, the digital backgrounds. It just narrows. I don't know what it is with field of view, but it just feels more narrow and not as steep and as this. Again, look at this. It just feels like it goes forever, and I think it's because the colors maybe a little bit blend together, so you can't really see when exactly one thing starts and another thing stops. It just, yeah, it's cool.
Hmm.
Hmm. Sorry, and I took your words
no,
out of your mouth.
I agree with what you had to say.
Hmm. Well,
Yep. Should
that's
we?
what I had to say with world building.
Great. I assume we'll have a lot more of this in the future. So,
Yeah,
shall we move on?
sure.
Yep.
Okay. Redemption slash forgiveness. This one was mine, and I chose it because I would say that forgiveness and redemption is a really huge part of this story. And at the end, more than one character has done some bad stuff, which
Mm.
is pretty much forgiven,
Hmm.
and they get a chance for redemption. And
Yeah.
from what I've heard, again, this is something that I've heard, that this is one of the things that a lot of the fans were apparently angry about. Like they didn't want to have Miranjo just be forgiven at the end and everything's good. So
I don't.
yeah, I
Again,
want to briefly talk about this like concept of
mm,
redemption and forgiveness in fiction and how it's used here.
yeah. I
So
think
yeah, you wanna say something about it?
no. I just think it's what a good thing to tell kids to tell kids that what a good message to give kids who's enjoying a media that's even the baddest, most hideous kinds of action can be forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
What a great message to give, because we have so many stories where the only way that the villain can be redeemed or something is by disappearing or being pulverized in a death explosion.
Or getting punched in the face.
What?
Or getting punched in the face.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
also
yeah.
a
It's
classic.
it's it's so refreshing that we can see that we can see a characters like Miranjo have have done so many bad things and not only be forgiven but actually be loved and being taken in by a upstanding family and all that. Not only not only be forgiven and just have to fend herself for herself, but being taken care of afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
It's, it's such a good message. It's such a good. it's so refreshing. Oh my fucking god, it's such a good anime.
I see it with how it's done specifically here, that a lot of like fictional stories with does have a bad villain, the villain gets defeated and then it gets like redeemed afterwards. Like to me, because it usually happens at the end, it usually happens very quickly. And one thing I like about Ranking of Kings, it actually takes its time with its forgiveness and redemption. Like we see in the case of Miranjo, she gradually like gets to regret everything that she's done. And we also get to see that in the case of Daida, that he gradually like gets to like he hears more of Mirancho's story and he has his experiences in wherever the hell he was, that he gradually gets to like want to help Miranjo.
He
And
actually didn't he actually renounce the crown in the end and
yes,
then
he
taking
did,
it
but
back?
then Boji gave it back to him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and
so
also
good.
there's a whole part with Domas where
Hmm.
I really like how they did it with Domas, because when when Boji first sees him again, Boji is not initially willing to forgive him, and Domus actually has to make an honest effort in order to make like to make his regret apparent before
Mm,
Boji is willing to give him like the benefit of the doubt and willing to look him in the eye again.
mm,
Like the fact that it isn't just like once Domus and Boji is back in the story again, it's like what happened isn't just pulled under the rock, or
no.
as they say. No, it's actually brought about, and it's actually a source of conflict. Because of course, like Boji wouldn't just forgive and forget just like that. Like that would be, well, almost dying was very traumatizing.
Yeah,
And the fact that it's a
and it's
continuing source of conflict that's just gradually solved is something I very much appreciate.
there isn't one particular thing that makes the conflict disappear. It's something that needs to like a real struggle. It's
Yeah.
something that sometimes it's not one action that can resolve it. It's something that can only be gradually resolved.
Mm-hmm. And
It's yeah.
yeah. So I really like how it's done, and
Mm,
in the case of Mirancho, the fact that they actually tell her that she has to work, like do an honest attempt at like making the world a better place. That
mm,
now that she's been given this opportunity for redemption, she also has to use it.
mm,
They literally tell her that, and she's all for it. And
mm,
Diada says that he will help her with this all the way. So
mm,
I like the way they handle that.
mm,
And when it comes to the ending of Diada declaring Miranjo his wife and then them getting married and all that, which apparently that's also something a lot of people on the web again have complained about. And personally, I see it the way I saw it is that they wanted to have like the ultimate like fairy tale happy ending.
mm.
They live happily ever after, Cinderella, yada yada. And since this is very much like fantasy based, so to me it makes sense that they went for that route in order to make this they live happily ever after ending. Especially since we're now going to be, as far as we know, we're going to be focused away from this kingdom, away from Daida and Miranjo and all that, and focus on Boji and Kage and their adventures outside the kingdom. So
I disagree a little. Like, I
and that's
don't think they
fine.
had
But
to be married to have a fairy tale ending. They could just end up as friends, or she could be his advisor or something. Like, they didn't have to be husband and wife for it to be
No,
happily ever after.
no.
I agree that they didn't have to do, but I think that I understand. I think I understand the reason why they did it like this, and personally, I am fine that they did it like this because I see it as like symbolic of the happily ever after fantasy fairy tale ending. But I
Didn't
agree that they
Daida
didn't have to go this route.
didn't Ida say that he always wanted to see who the mirror was? In some, is it me who's remembering wrong?
I think they I think they might have briefly like touched upon with Dida saying something along like that,
But
like he wanted to know more about like who she was as a person and all that.
yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, but again, I think it's only touched upon briefly.
It can also be a some way of um of relationship through drama.
Hmm.
They have both experienced something horrible together. Again, Miranjo was the source of that drama, and Dida was the what should I say? Was the receiver in many ways of that trauma.
Hmm. We could
But they
also, yeah, just continue talking.
but in the end they came through it, and it had a good ending. And then they again Dida would like to marry Miranjo in the end, and she accepted
Hmm.
because they had actually known each other for a bit of a long time.
Yeah, the problematic part I would say is that the way they showed the relationship between like Dida and the mirror, like before when Miranda was
Yeah,
still just the mirror, was
yeah.
a bit more like parental. Like there's that in the second opening, I think there's that like scene where we see that Miranjo as a mirror to a very young Dida is like reading from a book, I think, and
Oh, right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
yeah. But I also think a reason they might, I just is the point of the theory at this point, but the reason they might have gone for the whole like husband wife relationship at the end instead of like two friends or whatever might have been because like if they have gone with them just becoming like friends and supporting each other, it could have looked like that Dida was just becoming a new king boss for Miranjo,
Uh,
and that would
uh,
have shown that her character hadn't like grown but just like replaced King Boss with King Dida. So I think they wanted like to show that this is a completely different relationship. So that's why we're marrying them.
Yeah.
oh, yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I don't have anything else to say about redemption slash forgiveness. Do you have more to add?
No.
What about you, Mess?
Um. No. I think I've said my piece.
Okay.
All right. I think we're done.
Hey!
Really? Wow.
It was a good anime. God
It was
damn it.
great. I did not expect to have this much enjoyment.
It's one of those that only comes up when Saturn and a red moon goes in line in front of the sun, and the pyramids shift in the sands and stuff.
Pyramid shift in the sand.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's one of those that only is only made when the celestial bodies comes around 444 times in the sky. Ah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
think after this experience, I think Wit Studio has actually become my favorite anime studio.
Wow.
Yeah, they made all the animes that I know that they've made have all been one of my favorites, and I think they do just a great job. But yeah, so it's time to figure out who should pick the next one. So, are
the
you ready for the wheel of
wheel!
fate?
Oh.
The wheel!
And it spins. Uh, uh.
Oh,
All right, it's my time to
mess!
shine. And I think we are going to go for an isekai this time, and specifically a harem isekai. So I think we should watch my next life as a villainess. All routes lead to doom.
How many episodes?
We're only going to watch the first season. I know there are like 2 seasons out by this time, but we're only going to watch the first one, which is 12 episodes.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has also been dubbed. I will make sure that you can find where to watch it.
Yes.
And yes.
Is it just a harem anime, or is there something special with it?
All right. Uh, I know what you want me to talk about here. Yeah, it's actually well, it is also an isekai. The thing that really stands out about this anime is the fact that the it's a first of all it's a female main character who gets like a harem where each of the members have different like genders, which
So
is
it's bisexual.
yeah you could say.
Yay!
So it's very
Is
much
it
like
different
above the norm
genders
of regular
uh,
harem animes.
and sexual then?
What did you
It's just
say?
It depends on how many different genders there is.
There are two genders, I would say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess bisexual.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's bisexual. Okay, cool.
male and female
Well,
members of her harem that she
okay,
eventually gets over the course of the series.
cool. I will look forward to it.
Yes, same. And everyone, thanks for watching and listening, and remember to like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.